Hello and welcome to Madam Goes Racing, and today we're in a Raceroom racing experience, checking out the latest content drop, which is the Porsche Pack 2023, which comprises 4 cars: the Porsche 994 Turbo Cup car, the Porsche Carrera Cup, which is the new 992 version, which is available in the Carrera Cup Deutschland liveries, the Carrera Cup, the GT3 Cup Endurance version, again the new 992 shape version, and the new 992 based GT3 R. So let's have a look at them, and hopefully everything will work properly with the recording this time, because this is the 4th time I've done this and it's not been going quite according to plan. So in terms of liveries, let's have a look at the Porsche 994. It's got quite a few. I think you would call them typically 80s looking ones, sort of a bit of Martini, Rothmans about them, all a bit sort of big blocky patterns. And they were all the rage, but we'll go for the slightly different pink and white one. And hopefully everything will be hunky-dory and we will have all our sound in sync, because first time I tried to record it, I forgot to turn the microphone recording on. Second time I got interrupted halfway through it. Third time, for some reason, the sounds were 2 seconds out of sync, but because I recorded my voice on the same track, I couldn't adjust it without making it 2 seconds out of sync, or 1 second out of sync for the car and 1 second out of sync for my face. So I thought, sod it, I'll try one more time. Right. Car setup wise, there's not a lot you can change, because obviously this is a sort of run what you're given type of thing. So a bit of brake pressure, brake bias is fixed. Fuel obviously. In terms of the front end, anti-roll bars, tow, tyre pressure, ride height and camber, and we've got something similar on the back. No adjustment of the wing, so there's not a huge amount you can change. Bizarrely, there's only cut 2 to 5 on the electronics. Don't know why, but whatever. Nothing you can do with the gearbox, but you can adjust the engine braking. Now, the 944 Turbo came out in 1986 as a championship. The first race, I think, was that a one-off? I can't remember now. And just turn this off for a second, gives us a slightly better view. Yeah, it was I think a one-off race around the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, maybe, or it might have been the full circuit, but they decided to run a sort of series for something like 3 years, I think it ran for. This is 250 odd brake horsepower from its four-cylinder, 2.5 litre turbocharged front engine, rear-wheel drive. I think these have got a transaxle gearbox. I think all the Porsche 92 whatevers in the 944 were front engine transaction, but I might be wrong with that. I didn't bother to look it up. So H pattern, obviously, not exactly what you call a loss of air on it, as in there's actually a splitter on the front, and there's a little sort of underside winglet thing on the back there. I don't know what it is, and the sort of winglet on the back of that. Obviously, nice coupe. I always like the shape of the sort of 944s. They're sort of Porsche-ish without being too identical to all the sort of 911s. So yeah, very nice. Right, so we can press the right button and get this back, and I'll just see if I do. Yeah, it looks like it's all just about in sync at the moment, so hopefully we'll give it a couple of laps and see what it does. like I said, H pattern, so gear changes are a little bit sluggish. But one thing you will notice is, I don't know whether it's got steel brakes, it take a lot of warming up or something, but it's not exactly got stoppers that will stop you on a sixpence, which is a very small coin that used to be in circulation in the UK. So brake early. 1980s mid brakes, probably not the best things in the world. Don't get too aggressive with the down changes either, because you will wreck the gearbox. We'll give it a bit of a stab on the... Doesn't push at all really, considering it's got stone cold hard tyres. That's one thing they were renowned for, was having a very, very nice balance to the cars. Not sure if third is actually a bit low geared through there, so might try fourth next time round. Handles the lumpy bits quite nicely. Very nice feedback. Like I said, the biggest thing you have to watch out for this, until you've actually got the brakes warmed up a bit, you hook the curb a bit there, you can actually get a bit of rotation out of the car. Might have been a little bit light on the brakes there, but it's got actually very positive front end. Actually turn in and it sort of does what you expect it to, it doesn't wash out. I'll take a couple of 3 laps to get some heat in the tyres. I haven't actually adjusted the seating position at all, so I can't actually see a lot out the left hand side past that pillar, so I'm a bit blind on the apexes. Whoops. I think I just took half a tooth off one gear there. It does come out of there really nice. It's not pushing at all. It's got a little bit of rotation, not in any way excessive, but definitely a little bit. Like I said, we'll try 4 through here this time. Carry a reasonable amount of speed for a car with 0 aero. When I was trying it out, I did find a couple of times if you were a bit careless on the entry, your maggots brackets, you get the back end stepping out of it. Generally quite catchable. I have only, in the laps I've done trying to do this video repeatedly, only actually dropped the car once, which was actually into here where I left the braking far too late, and I caught it, and then I hadn't caught it because it suddenly snapped out of the way, and oops, there you go, another half a tooth off a gear there. But it's really nice and positive through here. It's feel the front end biting and doing what you expect it to. Is that a reasonable lap there? It's not too bad for a first attempt. best sort of 225 mid, so we'll see if we can go a little bit quicker. All in all, it's a really nice little car. You can get away with a little bit of sloppy driving, but it rewards, I think, oops, it really rewards nice driving technique, I think. And it is a really nicely balanced car, so it's reasonably well behaved. You can't get away with the same sort of stupidity you can with something like the MX-5, although is also quite a nicely balanced car, but it's a little bit more unforgiving than that, but it's still pretty forgiving. It's don't run wide. So yeah, it's a really nice car to drive. It's stable. It's only a real foible. It seems to have fairly rudimentary brakes, although it has got ABS. So you can get away with being a little bit heavy-footed. You just have to make sure you brake early enough, that's all. Ooh, that was just within about a tenth of our best lap time there, so I'd say, yeah, that's a really nice car. It's only two things you have to watch out for is slightly wooden brakes, although with the ABS at least you can just hammer them as hard as possible and you won't lock up. You just end up with, you might find if you turn in with a lot of brake on, you might start to lose the back end. You can generally catch it, but if it does go beyond a certain angle, it might suddenly snap back the other way, and then you just get this nice fishtail flick and your history, so to speak. But like I said, I've only done that once in the 25-30 laps that I've done when I've been trying to push a bit, so not too bad at all. Right, I'll do the replay for that in a while. Hopefully everything's coming out sound-wise as expected, and if it isn't, I'll swear at it later. Right, next up, like I said, there's two versions of the 992 GT3 Cup. The Carrera Cup Deutschland has the GT3 Cup 992 car. That's got loads of liveries in here, all a little bit more modern than the 944 version. We're just going to go with the fairly plain number 4. Number 4 because that's the number of the house I live at. If it's good enough for Valentino Rossi, it's good enough for me. He raced under number 46 because that was the number of his house. Hopefully our sound is still all in order, and if it isn't, I will swear at it and sort it out later. Car setup wise, again, this is a Cup car, so you expect not too much that you can change. You can actually adjust the brake bias on this one. Exactly the same adjustments as there were on the 944. The difference is you can adjust the rear wing. Other than that, much the same. Electronics, it does have all 6, although they're all set to 0 because it has no TC. Rev limit, this is a 4 litre flat 6 producing 503 brake horsepower, I believe it was. Again, nothing on the gearing. All it does is the engine braking, so if you find it's getting a bit dodgy on the entry corners, you might be able to reduce that a little bit. But again, you have to be a bit careful about doing that because you end up with, it upsets the balance of the car. It's just hide that, and then we'll press the right button. Where's the 5? There we go. It's the slightly newer looking 992. It looks like a 992. I think I was just going to have a look at the air intakes in the rear arches. In the front arch, I think the GT3's got much bigger intakes and also got some air scoops on the back of the front arches, if I remember rightly. A little bit of a diffuser, reasonable size rear wing, not huge. A little splitter on the front, so generally a bit of aero, but not over the top. Where's me? Where's that key? Oh, wrong one, wrong one, wrong one. That one. My brain. All right. I think we're still in sync, hopefully. Right. I forgot to change my wheel, didn't I? I want a slightly different rim. Let's put a former rim on. That's better. Nice screamy flat 6 behind us. And a thing you have to remember, no ABS and no TC, so little bit of understeer through there. We've got stone cold front tyres. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but they have. Oop. Certainly pushes into understeer through there on cold tyres. So give it a nice neutral throttle and just let it drift around until you're ready to come out of the corner. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is they've actually made an adjustment to the FFB to they've increased the pneumatic trail on the front tyres. Possibly all tyres, and that does mean that the steering gets a bit heavier on braking, so you'll go through the braking phase, you'll feel a lot more weight on the steering as you're braking, and as you come off the brakes it'll lighten up a bit. Might have been a little bit low on the brakes there. Right, you just about kept it in play. Still got fairly cold tyres, so I was probably a little bit over optimistic with my braking point there. A little bit patient on the throttle out there and wait for the front end to try and grip up. It's still a little bit chilly on the front tyres to get a goodly amount of turning. It's not bad, it's just something you have to be aware of. Now what I'm trying to do is go for a slightly different apex through that corner to try and make sure I don't run wide on the exit, because it's one thing I found is it's quite easy to push wide and you end up invalidating your lap, which is really annoying in Raceroom because it means it doesn't tell you what the bloody lap time was, and I do wish they'd fix it. A little bit less push that time. It's still very Porsche-like in the way it's definitely got the weight at the back of the car, and you can feel it. Probably less so than in previous versions of the car. I think they've slowly managed to work the balance forward a bit more. It does deal with those lumpy curves really nicely. It's quite easy to push wide out of there as well, so. Overall, again, really nice car. It's just you have to watch out for your braking points and listen intently for the sounds of lockups and modulate your braking appropriately. Still have to wait a little bit for the throttle so you can get out of there, because it's pushing the front. You can feel it starting to push, and you just have to ease out of it a little bit. Wasn't a great opening lap, but about 2 seconds of what I should be able to do. It is not too bad in terms of how tricky it is to drive. I think some of the older Cup cars are probably, when I say older, I mean from the last 3 or 4 years, are possibly a bit more tricky to drive. Don't think I'll do myself too many favours taking quite so much curb through that. Yep, I thought I'd gone too wide there. Now, if you're one of these people who's really good at just getting your braking right on the edge, you will be super quick in one of these, probably more so than us slightly more ham-fisted people, or should I say ham-footed. Oh, shouldn't have tried coming out there in a second, it was a bad move. When you drop down to first, it helps get the front end to come round through the initial part of the corner, and then might give you a bit more rotation on the way out. Things do get a little bit more hairy when you start pushing a bit more. You start losing the back end on the brakes into the corners, and it's not terrible, but it does take a little bit more driving skill than something with a bit more poised and balance, shall we say. Definitely more a driver's driving car than it is a sort of novice's car. Sort of car that a bit more experience probably required before you can get more out of it, but to go wide that time. That was much better. Still have to be patient on that throttle. Yeah, that was probably a much more representative lap, the sort of lap I should be able to do. That was a couple of tenths of what I did the other day, so not a million miles out. Again, nice car. Definitely takes a bit more finesse to drive than something with all the electronics on it. You can. I didn't actually do it that time. Every other time I've driven up to now, I've managed to go into Maggot's Beckett, so I managed to throw it in there and actually got the back end start stepping out quite a bit. So again, you do have to be a little bit careful about that. Right, next up is the 992 GT3 Cup Endurance. There's a few less liveries for this one. Now, the difference between the Endurance version and the stock Cup version is quite simply the electronics. Whereas the Cup version, no ABS, no traction control. This one has, as we'll see, traction control. It also has ABS. We'll start at the beginning. Again, one choice at a time, otherwise brake bias, pressure and fuel it can change. From the over the Cup car, you've now got some control over your damping settings, fast and slow. Same in the rear. Electronics wise, one of the things that have changed is you've now got separate cut and slip. Slip defines at what point your ABS will cut in, and cut defines how much cutting it will do. I would have preferred it if it had given you more control by saying you can assign 2 separate buttons to the cut and the slip. I haven't. They've still got the 6, so you have to try and pre-calculate what will be your sort of range of how much slip, how much cut. There are a load of instructions on the bottom right. I'd have a good read of it. Smaller numbers is more slip, if I remember rightly, which was like, what? But at the end of the day, yeah, I'm just going to use the bog standard TC1, which is what it's set to, and that'll be it. Again, nothing you can change on the gearing. Same 503 brake horsepower, and as far as I'm aware, and we'll just have a look. Oh, one button. I'm going to hit that one. We'll just have a look around the car. If I hit the right button and hide that one. It should look pretty much the same as the Cup version. I don't think there's any difference in the aero. Still got the same smallish diffuser. I think that's the same rear wing, and I'm pretty sure all in all it's exactly the same in terms of aero and everything. So in theory, you would hope, be doing pretty much the same lap time as you were in a Cup car, give or take. The difference should be, you would hope, you could be a little bit more, well, you'd have to worry a little bit less about your managing your braking, because the electronics will do it for you. Same with throttle. That really is a clumsy corner, but that's one of the reasons why I go around Silverstone, because it has got a nice selection of different types of corner. Despite having traction control and ABS on it, I don't think it's actually got any little lights to tell you what's going on with the... Yep, understeer city until we get some heat in the tyres. No shocks there. Again, it should feel exactly the same as the Cup, non-electronically enhanced version. Again, nice FFB with a you'll probably hear that traction control cutting in and out a bit as I go over rumble strips and things, because it is set quite aggressively. By default, as it's on the TC1 setting. Going through here, a little bit of patience, trying to wait for the front end to grip up a bit before you can put a bit more power down. Again, try to change the apex of the corner a bit to make it slightly earlier to and wider to get a better exit out of there without pushing. Again, a bit of patience. Trying to keep a reasonably neutral throttle through there to just let the car run through until it's ready to get out without pushing too much. As the tyres warm up, the balance of the car improves a bit, so it's a little less understeering. Still has a little bit of understeer. That's just the nature of the car. Try and hook the curb a bit to help get around there. Helps rotate the car a bit. And this thing doesn't mind curbs too much. Got enough suspension travel that can cope with it. We'll do one more lap. The thing about the endurance version is because it's got the electronics, you probably find it's easier to drive consistently, because you won't be going, am I going to lock up, am I going to do something silly here? Which is what you would hope an endurance version of a car would do, would be to allow you to drive a little bit more consistently over a reasonable distance. I almost be quite so far down in my previous lap there, but a slightly better exit there than the last lap. But yeah, it's basically more the same, but just with the extra assistant, which just makes it easier to get a little bit more out of on a more consistent basis. So that's the advantage it has over the pure Cup car, is that it's just easier to drive over a distance, and it's easier to drive consistently, because you don't suddenly lock up, so you're having to come off the power a bit, and you're not going to suddenly find you're spinning up an inside tyre or doing something stupid, because the electronics is saving your arse. So yeah, generally speaking, it feels much the same as a Cup car. It's just the extra electronics makes it a bit easier to drive. So if you're a little bit thank you. If you're a little bit less experienced, you might find that a lot more drivable. Now, last but definitely not least, sometime later, I don't know if it's hunting about on the internet when it's doing that. Right, GT3. There is, I should mention, also in the latest update, a GT3 version of the McLaren 720S. Originally, that came out as part of the ADAC Masters 2021, was it? Might be wrong on that, but they've added the GT3 version. And we have the 992 version of the GT3R. Reasonable selection of quite bright, in many cases, as in, oh my dear, my eyeballs, colours. We'll go for the red and black one, because that's basically the same as the AC modder that I drove the other day, which was the United Racing Design version of the 992 2023. So we see how it compares. Right, car setup wise, this should allow you to modify everything that's possible to modify, with the exception of the tyres. You only get one sort of tyre still. Again, only one choice of downforce on the front, all the downforce adjustments on the back, and by adjusting the rake as well. I think they have actually changed the amount of difference it makes to the aero by using rake. I can't remember which way it went. But they've changed how much the rake affects the aero balance, I think. But basically, you should be able to adjust just about everything in here. Loads of wing adjustment, toes, etc. Same thing with the electronics. You got the slip and cut, so you'll have to work out whether or not you like the default versions. If you don't, you'll have to change them. Engine braking, engine map as well, so you can actually go for more or less power, save a bit of fuel by using the engine map. Preload adjustment as well on this one. Rev limit 9,400 RPM. This basic same 4 litre flat 6 as the Cup car, only this has got 575 horsepower instead of 503, so a bit more oomph. And if we have a look around the outside of the car, I'll just hide that for a second. You should be able to see there's much bigger end plates on the rear wing. I think the wing might be a little bit sort of more dished, so it's probably got a lot more downforce. Much bigger diffuser on the back, little strafe on the front there, and yeah, it's got exits on the rear of the wheel arch on the front, and a much bigger air intake on the front of the arch on the back. I presume it's got wider tyres on it for a bit more mechanical grip. But again, a pretty little car. I don't think Porsche's ever made an ugly car, although I think some of their SUVs are a bit fugly. That's just personal preference. I'm sure somebody loves them. I'm sure their mother does. So, again, I think we're in sync, so yay! Again, I haven't actually adjusted my seating position at all on this. The full fat version of the GT3 engine always sounds like it's got a bit more urgency about it because it revs a bit harder. You should have noticed the extra rows of LEDs that are flashing when we're getting a bit of TC slip. Barely any push at all, whether that's down to a bit more aero, a bit more mechanical grip, just the fact that it's much stiffer, or whether there is actually a physical difference in the car balance itself. I'm not sure, but this thing's got a really positive front end on it, even on stone cold tyres. So going there, you probably heard the TC having a bit of a cough as it's kicking in over that rumble strip. Even with the traction control maxed out, we get a nice little bit of rotation coming out of stone. Might have been a little bit light on the brakes there. And definitely much more positive front end than the Cup car through there. Try and carry a little bit more speed through the apex of the very slow corner, because we can get away with the using second gear and the car will not push straight off the side of the circuit. You still have to be a bit patient through that, purely on the basis it's such a bloody long corner. Again, FFB, really nice, telling you exactly what's happening, so you can feel the two ends of the car behaving themselves or not, as the case may be. Now, I don't know if this actually has the little lights telling you when it's locking up under ABS. I haven't actually seen any little lights pop up to say you're locking up under the ABS. So whether it's just not doing it or not implemented or just not there, I don't know. But that was a pretty good opening lap for me. I think that's a new best lap. Not sure where I lost 4/10 of a second there. That was a bit bizarre. Maybe not quite as quick through turn 1 and 2. One thing's for sure, I ain't making it back up. Well, if I do, I will be absolutely stunned, I have to say. Oh, just about kept it in. Went down the extra gear for the extra bit of turning. But I screwed the first sector up quite so badly. Well, that would have been a very low 201 if I hadn't screwed up the first sector. Not sure what happened there, but that is a really, really nice car to drive. It's predictable, it's well balanced. I haven't managed to throw it down the road yet. I have been trying. It doesn't seem to want to do anything silly, even when you're pushing quite hard. Great brakes, great traction, great turning, stops really well, sounds lovely. I can't actually think of anything bad to say about it. I think actually, I haven't actually retested all the GT3 cars. I don't tend to drive a lot of GT3 in Raceroom for the very simple fact it's in everything. And there's lots of other things in Raceroom I would rather drive. But that's a really, really nice car. And I have been driving the Ferrari 488 GT3 in a championship, so I compare it to that. And I did try the Audi Evo before I decided what to drive in this particular championship. But I think that's better than the Ferrari. So it feels better balanced overall. And that's without having to do anything at all with the setup. That's just absolutely as it comes out the door, so to speak. So yeah, that's a really, really nice car, and well worth having a look at. Remember, of course, this being Raceroom, you can, of course, try all of these cars out yourself without having to pay a penny. So give them a shot, see what you think. I think all four of them are good in their own ways. I think the standard Cup car is better than the previous generation Cup car. It's slightly better balanced. I don't know how much quicker, if it is quicker. I think it is quite a bit quicker. So you're doing like 205, 206 around Silverstone in a Cup car with no ABS and no traction control. I don't know how long you'll be able to keep that up. And again, I've not driven the GT3R a reasonable distance enough to know whether or not it eats its tyres, does anything silly like that. I'd be guessing that it's probably reasonable. I know some people have been saying the ACT version of the new GT3 has a tendency to cook its tyres fairly quickly, or it might just be the person involved had a particular driving style that does eat the rear tyres. Who knows? Some people do, some people don't. But yeah, four nice cars added to Raceroom. It was about 10 quid, or whatever that was in VRP. It was about 75% off, so if you had to buy it full price, it was something like 3,000 VRP or something silly. So yes, that's what I thought. Yeah, well worth a look. Like I said, give them a shot. It's free, gratis to have a go, and I think you'll enjoy them, especially the GT3R and the 944. As I said, the Cup car does take a little bit more finesse to drive than maybe the endurance one due to the lack of electronics, but it's still a nice car to drive. So that's it from me for now. Hopefully this is recorded all right and I can actually manage to get a bloody video out of it. And if it hasn't, I will swear at it for several minutes and then maybe have another go. But got to do the replays as well. So for now, enjoy racing, have fun. I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Where's my button?